Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. The Philadelphia Eagles wrapped up OTAs and the team's minicamp this week, and so we are now officially in the deep offseason. Now, as we've done in the past, usually want to take this opportunity to take a look back at the offseason and get ourselves ready for these next several weeks of really not a whole lot going on at the NovaCare complex. And we're joined by what's seeming to become a tradition now, right at this time of year. Eagles Insider and friend of the show, Dave Spadaro. Dave, thank you so much for stopping by as always.
Joe, I like this tradition. I am down with this tradition, and let's continue it. It has brought good luck to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think you're great, so bring it on.
Well, I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you so much. Now, this is the first time you and I have had the opportunity really to sit down since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Tell me a little bit about your experience during the game, after the game, during the
Yeah.
parade.
Really felt good about the team going into the game and thought they approached it the right way. The memory of the loss in Super Bowl 57 very much um, part of the preparation, and I think really stuck with this team. And then, the week of just being around the team and feeling so good about it. And then all of the Eagles fans who were in New Orleans, the way the team played, perfect game. I will tell you that it's probably the best game in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of the importance of the stage, the complete nature of the victory, the tone, the dominance, the celebration, the fun. It was a fun game, and then post game, that started the party. And coming back to Philly, and the parade for me was, the highlight of my career. I'd emceed Super Bowl 52, the parade, but that time we really, Joe, didn't know what we were doing. We had never had a parade, and I remember not even taking notes until the morning of. And then Jason Kelsey walks in with the mummer's outfit and all heck broke loose. But it was great, obviously. This one, it just felt like more of a celebration. And everyone was prepared. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. Um, best day of my life, honestly, with in terms of football. And uh, then you kind of blink, and you're at the combine in Indianapolis, and then free agency starts, and then the OTAs begin with the draft a week after that. So it really hasn't been there hasn't been a whole lot of time to kind of look up and exhale. And so that's what these next 6 weeks are for. The OTAs are finished. The team comes back for July 22nd, the start of training camp, the first practice on the 23rd of July at the NovaCare complex. So these are the 6 weeks to really exhale and understand, Joe, that this is not the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team trying to win Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, California next February.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that really speaks to something that I mean, yes, the team collectively, the Philadelphia Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions, but there are different pieces that were part of that team in Super Bowl 59 that are no longer going to be part of the team in Super Bowl 60. That was the same thing coming off of Super Bowl 52 a number of years ago. That was the same thing coming off of Super Bowl
Well,
57.
there if you look back at 52, Joe, Howie's approach then was kind of to run it back. A lot of those
Yeah.
players had been injured for the game. There really weren't as significant changes as what we've seen in this offseason. This defense has been revamped at all three levels.
Yeah.
And um, younger players here. This team has gotten younger. This
Hmm.
team is replenishing with draft picks. So the offense certainly comes back intact, but there's a difference. The approach to the offseason this time versus the last time, it is significantly different.
I I was getting to that point, and I 100% agree with you there, Dave. Yeah, I think that the Eagles really this year um, really felt like they were going to try to avoid falling into that trap of uh, we're gonna try to get the gang back together, so to speak. We're gonna try to revisit it, and that's a trap that I've seen not just the Eagles fall into. The Phillies in '08 after they won the World Series also fell into that trap where they just kept trying to reunite the group. It almost seems like they're trying in that same trap now too. That team. Um, how do you think the Eagles this year were able to, at least as far as it see as how do you think the Eagles were able to avoid that trap this year?
Learn their lesson. Also, understanding that they've got a lot of draft capital, something they didn't have in 2018. They'd come off the Carson Wentz trade and giving up a lot of draft picks. Didn't have in 2018. I think they had, was it 4 or 5 draft picks? They traded out around one. Really good draft with Sweaty J and Avante Maddox and Jordan Mailata.
Dallas
Um,
Goddard.
Dallas Goddard, of course, first pick in the draft in the second round. So, but they didn't have that kind of draft capital. This team had a lot of draft capital going into this draft, and understanding that there was a lot of draft capital for next year as well. So you kind of try to transition. Plus, with a really good 2024 draft class that contributed so much to Super Bowl 59, that is ready to take another leap forward with players in more prominent roles, in addition to Cooper and Q. Quinion, they were great, but now you've got Jalix Hunt in a more significant role, potentially Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in a more significant role, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's how you do it, and that's the now it remains to be seen how it works out, but it would appear, Joe, I think you would agree that the Eagles on paper have a really good chance to build an even deeper, younger roster moving forward.
Yeah, I think that that's good there. And I think that there's also an opportunity for some of those younger guys to be able to grow and to take that next step. That's one of the things that I'm hoping for as I look at this team, especially given how young the defense got really quickly following the collapse at the end of the 2023 season. How young the defense got really quickly really seemed to just factor into. I mean, there were a lot of good things there, and I'm really hoping that those players who have come on are going to take that next step into becoming like those kinds of leaders in the locker room on that side of the football throughout the team to really help bring on some of those guys who are newer to this culture, and certainly in the case of many of the draft picks, newer to the NFL environment.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have had a pretty good track record here of their plan for succession, dating back many years. And then most recently, you look at, Kelsey retires and Cam Jurgens becomes a Pro Bowl player, and Fletcher Cox retires and Jalen Carter becomes an All Pro player, and Jordan Davis steps up, and Zach Ertz is traded or whatever, released, and Dallas steps into that role, and you see it over and over and over, and so that we are looking at that again, and so I think the way they develop players is really important, and we'll see what Jalix Hunt does, for example, getting more reps in place of Brandon Graham, and how the Eagles solve the loss of Darius Slay at cornerback, and if Sidney Brown slash Drew Makuba slash Tristan McCullum slash whomever replaces CJ Gardner Johnson. And on and on. Just Sweaty J it leaves. The Eagles go out and sign some young veterans in Aziz Ojolari and Joshua Uche to 1-year contracts. So interesting approach. The goal is long-term, sustained success, and that's what the Eagles are working for.
Absolutely. Now, the Eagles have had over the course of the last couple seasons two of their three most recent seasons have been relatively shorter off seasons, right? Like they've gone and even last year too. Not when we lost to Tampa Bay in the wild card round, there was still that there was still a little bit shorter of an off season than I think we probably would have expected. Or I mean, maybe not expected is the wrong word there, but definitely a shorter off season than some of the other teams had. And what kind of toll do these kinds of shorter off seasons take on a particular team who might make a deep playoff run? And how do you see the Eagles trying to adjust for that?
I mean, I think the key is that the Eagles need to, and they've really taken into account that amount of playtime, those snaps that have been accumulated, and the balance between backing off and making sure that you're still really. focused in on a daily basis, and so remains to be seen. But for an example, Saquon Barkley. So what do? Do you expect Saquon to have 345 carries in the regular season and 91 more in the playoffs? No. That's why you go out and you think AJ Dillon has a chance to be healthy and contribute, and you hope you've upgraded there with the loss of Kenny Gainwell. Will Shipley is another year better. Along the offensive line, you've drafted 3 linemen. So you hope that you can back off Cam Jurgens, right? And he's coming off surgery. Back off on him until the regular season. Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson coming off surgery as well. So it is a very fine line, and it's a mix, and you got to kind of know your players and really have a good relationship with the medical staff and understand where these players are, how they're testing. Joe, they do daily testing of players and their energy output and all of the minutia of details and information and data that they can acquire. But again, and I will also say this: the Eagles, again, the difference between now and 18, younger. So is Q tired? Well, maybe, but he's got young legs. He played a lot last year. But yeah, Cooper DeJean, is he going to be worse for the wear from last year? Shouldn't be. He's only a second-year player. So instead of like relying on the Ronald Darbys of the world, you're going with younger players, and that should make a difference. But it's no doubt it's something to watch, and I think it's something that affected them in 2023. They kind of scraped by 10-1, a lot of ugly victories, and then it just all fell apart in those last 6 games of the regular season and the playoff loss in Tampa. So, but it's definitely something to watch. It's definitely something that Nick Sirianni has been through before, and so you hope you've learned your lesson. Not learned a lesson, but learned from the experience, and do it better this time, and hope the Eagles play their best football down the stretch as they did last year.
For sure. And you alluded to a lot of health in there, and certainly all the testing and all the important work that the medical staff does. I heard a stat recently that there was something like 22 starters that were like healthy from week 1 to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Some number like that. Was this a I mean, this is something that's a testament to really the work of the medical staff in collaboration with the coaching staff to try to keep these players healthy. Because I know for me, right, like I was one of the crew that was maybe unjustly, in looking back on it, maligning a little bit of Nick Sirianni and his approach to especially preseason games where we weren't seeing starters, we weren't seeing those guys, and I viewed that as like that might have an impact on those guys. Um, when they come out on week 1. But then you turn around and you look at a team like the Lions where they played their starters, they came out roaring in week 1, and they wound up going into it with a good chunk of players on injured reserve going into the playoffs. It really speaks a lot to the importance of making sure that these guys stay healthy, that these guys get trained up to be healthy, to be well conditioned over the course of the entire season, not just at the jump.
Yeah. And look, I mean, it's a violent game, and you're going to have injuries, and there's a lot that you can't really. There's some luck that's involved in that. So, but yeah, I mean, you're not going to see. Look. Hey, track record says you're not seeing starters in the preseason. Okay, so don't criticize Joe. All right, don't. I don't want to hear it. All right. The Eagles have started out. Look at the way they started out in 22. They were what, 8-0 or whatever they were, and 23 they were like 10-1, right? And then 24, 2-2, but then 16 wins in the last 17 games. So it is about trying to stay consistently healthy. Eagles have a great performance staff. Led by Fernando Noriega. They've got a great medical staff led by Tom Hunkley. They're in concert with the coaching staff. They understand it. The players are well conditioned, but it also takes a bit of luck and some smart play. And this preseason will be about Tanner McKee and DTR and Kyle McCord at the quarterback position, and Jalen Hurts will be chilling out on the sidelines. I guarantee it.
I don't expect anything different. It's just sometimes disappointing when you don't see those guys at least get some of the like the real time game prep reps. That was my concern about it. But
Yeah, but
certainly, I
they
fully
use that. There's going to be joint practices with Cleveland, and they try to keep that tempo high without the contact. And so far, it's worked really well for the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. It has done. I mean, we had a parade last year to
I
prove
see
it.
that Lombardi trophy over your right shoulder
Oh
there, Joe.
yeah,
So,
yep.
yeah, yeah. We want a few more of them.
We definitely want a few more of these here. Where do you see this team's biggest opportunity for growth going into this deep off season and as we look towards training camp in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I would say it's going to be, look, there's some really great storylines. I mean, developing a defense that's got so many new pieces, an offense with a new coordinator and Kevin Patullo, some young players given an opportunity to step up in their second and third seasons. A whole raft of players here looking to replicate what Zach Bond did in his 1 year contract season last year. Ojolari, Uche, etc. Some players that we don't really know a whole lot about who've spent time on the practice squad looking to make that leap. I think there's going to be great competition. I look forward to it. But yeah, I would say, just to answer your question, I would say to grow, it would probably be the defense because there are a lot of new pieces. And Vic Fangio has to kind of put that puzzle together and hope that he can um, have the kind of performance that was so remarkable last season.
Absolutely. Dave, as always, I appreciate you taking the time. Before we wrap up here, there has to have been a favorite moment for you over the course of the entire season, or over the course of the entire last season. What's that moment going to be for you as you bring that into this upcoming year?
Well, I don't know, Joe. I mean, I look, I'm one of the, I really enjoy the ride. I mean, I don't really look ahead. I think it's going to be a lot of fun having Dallas come to town and lowering the World Championship banner in front of the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I think we're going to really all enjoy that. But I mean, I just want to see. I really like. It's been such a great environment. Jalen has been remarkable and has been so just enjoying it and personable and yet locked in. And I just think the Eagles have a great thing going. And last year, that whole we knew that this was a really good football team, and the way they played against Washington at home, the way the fans showed up for those three playoff games, the way the fans supported the team in New Orleans, it was all just a dream come true with the parade. So I'm still in my dream bubble, Joe, and I look forward to talking to you during the season as we monitor the progress of the Philadelphia Eagles and try to find that same high that we felt both in 2017 during that season and the 2024 season, because it's all about winning the ring, and the Eagles have two of them now, and we need to get some more Lombardi trophies for your desk.
That we do, and we need to get more Lombardi trophies for you to carry around in,
Yeah,
in the Novacare
exactly.
complex.
Exactly. Hey, Joe, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man. Have
Always
a great rest
appreciate
of
you,
your
Dave.
summer, and let's talk in training camp.
Absolutely, Dave. Thank you so much for stopping by. As always, you can check Dave out at PhiladelphiaEagles.com. He's also on Instagram at the Eagles Insider. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to the Bird's Nest podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube, as well as by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. Please visit birdsnestmedia.com for additional Eagles and NFL coverage. And if you feel so inclined to support us in a different way, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description below or at birdsnestmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go, Eagles!
Go Birds!
Go, Birds!